Okay, everybody, I'm having a nice little sit up on my bed, enjoying the view, and I'm trying to focus in more on the view for you to have a good idea how good it is because the mobile doesn't pick it up as good as I can see it, because it's such a lovely view, and you can see the white building on the top by that white farm. And I enjoy sitting here on the bed, even in the morning, enjoying a cup of coffee, looking at the view. And it's afternoon now, 1:15. I've had a nice walk this morning, I've done a few little chores, and I'm just resting now, ready to go out for another nice walk. About 2:02 now. Anyway, I'm doing a video today about money talks, because I'm 71 now, and I believe we're on this planet to learn. Now, everybody's got their own opinion. What is life about? I've got friends who have become Christians, and they say, leave it to God. God will show you the way and all that. And I got other friends then who don't believe in anything. They think when you go, there's nothing and all that. But I believe there is something, and I believe the purpose of life is to learn. And I've learned a lot, one hell of a lot. And I've learned a lot about money. Now, to me, right, I was one of nine poor. We were very poor when we were young. I used to wear clothes that my cousin had in America, New York. My Auntie Elsie used to send his clothes over to my mother when we were living in one Winifred on Pontiac, and I used to wear his clothes, and they were nice, but I didn't mind. You know what I mean? You would never would have had my kids wearing anybody's clothes, They had to have everything new, brand new. It had to be brand new. Anyway, I was brought up very poor, and I was good at money. My mother said to me once, out of the nine children, I was the best of money. I was always good at saving money. But sadly, I married two women who loved spending money. They didn't like to save at all. Now, I knew nothing about what kind of people there are out there, but I had no idea when I was getting married to my first wife that she was getting married to me because of money, and this didn't enter my mind, you know what I mean? When I well, at first I didn't even ask her to go to the, I went to Tumble Club on a Wednesday night, and my friend who knew her went to dance with her, and he came back and said to me, she wants excuse me, she wants to lift home with you. Well, she was only 16 at the time, but she was very good looking for 16, and I just gave her a lift home, Well, I was living in a shop at the time, and I had the biggest car in West Wales, the Vauxhall Velox, bench seat car. I used to go everywhere with my friends and that, there was always 9 or 10 of us in the car. And one night coming back from the Glen nightclub, there was 14 in the car, 3 in the boot, 11 in the cab. The exhaust were touching the floor. I had a lot of fun with that car, and it got me a lot of girls at the time, And again, you see, they could see this big posh car, all the girls wanted to go out to me. And of course, I lived in a shop. And the first wife only lived a few doors away, you see, but different to the other girls I used to go to at the time, she was more pushy, she was out to get me. There's no doubt about that. And she got me in the end because she could see, well, she thought I was a good catch, you see. So what happened, I gave her the lift home and dropped her off in a house. Also had my friends in the car, dropped them off first, had a chat to her, and she asked me, where are you going Saturday? This was a Wednesday night, you see. Where are you going Saturday? She said. I said, oh, I go the Glen, I said. Oh, I'll be there Saturday. I like the Glen, she said. And I said to her, I've never seen you in the Glen before. And she said, oh, yeah, I like going there. So anyway, she was in the Glen then, and she asked me for another lift home. And wherever I was going now, she was turning up, wanting to lift home. And even when I was going for my walks past the house, she was coming out asking if she could come for a walk with me. She was so pushy. And I was going out with three other girls at the same time, I was meeting them in the week, And this is how I was when I was 20. I was single. I'd working underground, earning good money, and I was out every night. I was dating different girls all the time, even though I've become popular for internet dating. But I started off back then. I was dating a lot of girls, and nice-looking girls. And but the first wife, different to these girls, well, the first wife lived near me as well, you see, and she was more pushy, and I was always bumping into her, and she was always asking me for lifts and asking me to take her for a walk. And one thing led to another, and the next thing I knew, I took her for a spin in the car and went in the back of the seat, and that was it, And I added her to my list of girls I was going with at the time. And the next thing I knew, she turned around and said she was expecting my child. Now, she was 17 then when this happened, and I was dating other girls as well. I didn't go in a one-to-one relationship with her. I always knew uh, I couldn't cope with one girl, or one woman. I loved my single life. I loved dating a few at a time. And at the same time, I like children, you see. I like children. So when she said she was expecting, she was living with her mother, and she said uh, her mother would kill her if her mother knew she was expecting. And I told her, well, you've got to tell your mother. You can't not tell your mother, of all people, I said. This she did, and her mother went off her head. Her mother didn't like me at all. Every time I used to turn up outside the house, her mother used to shout, get away, I'm getting the police and all that. So anyway, I landed up then, well, she landed up telling her mother, and her mother said to her, you've got to have an abortion, or she was going to throw her out. And my first wife, I saw her then after she told her mother, she was crying and saying, I got to have an abortion, or I'm going to get kicked out. And I said, no way, you're going to have an abortion. Go live with the father. I got on well with the father. I was working with the father underground at the time. And this she did. And of course, we landed up getting married, but her mother wouldn't give her consent, you see. Her mother had custody of her, and she was only 17. So we had to go to court to get married. We went to Crown Court in Carmarthen, which was embarrassing because it was out on all the papers. It was out on all the papers that, the local papers, the Star, the Carmarthen Journal, girl 17 gets court consent to wed. Now, would you believe it? 11 years later, I was back in the same court having a divorce. Anyway, little did I realize that it's because what attracted her was the fact I lived in a shop and I had a big car and I was earning good money. But I had to sell the car to get married, you see. And we didn't have much of a wedding, and I think she realized then that she had done a blunder. There's no doubt about it. She could see then she'd done a blunder. And my mother always said, give your pay over, and this is what I did. I always gave her my pay on a Friday, and then by Monday it was gone, and she was really spending it all, buying rubbish. I could see that she was happy just spending money. She was buying stuff we didn't need, And I ended up having 3 children with her, and always struggling, even though I was earning good money, and she was having child maintenance and all that. And in the end, she was going out to work herself, because uh, she wasn't happy with the money I was earning. And we were always arguing over money, It was ridiculous. I could tell you some stories she did with money. It will shock you. It will shock you what she used to do. Because I've learned, I've seen, people like my first wife. They will go to the extremes to get money. And the things she did, well, it shocked me. I couldn't believe that she was doing what she did, not just to me, but to her friends and family, and even her mother. And this was coming a bit of a shock to me, how much money meant to my first wife. She was prepared to do anything for money. And when she went to work, she met this man she started having an affair with. He had money. He had his own business in an open cast site, you see, and he had big bucks. And straight away, she started having an affair. And the last 3 years I was married, while she was having an affair, she was also earning good money, then working in the canteen, the open cast. And still, however much money she was earning and I was earning, still she was blowing it all. And sadly, my children has turned out to be like her, you see. They are money grabbers themselves. And I could see this with the oldest daughter more than anything, because when my first wife started having an affair, my oldest daughter, Melanie, I'll name her Melanie. She's Melanie Blake, now living in Ponta de Lais. She was 11 at the time, and she used to walk about the house singing this guy's name. Durham, his name was, and she used to go, Durham, Durham. And I used to tell her, stop doing that, Now, at the time, he was coming up and building a wall for us, and of course, it took me a while to twig there was an affair going on here, but in no time I could see there was an affair going on, and he was spending a lot of time up with. Well, I was afternoon shift now. I was afternoon shift for my first wife to work, you see. And she had the opportunity now to go out to this guy, and he was coming back to my house when I was in work, and he was building this wall, and he was taking ages to build the wall. He was putting one brick a week in. And there was always cans of lager in the fridge for him, and I noticed, and I wasn't drinking much at the time, funny enough. Even though my first wife was turning around telling everybody. Well, what was happening now, you see, she was a clever woman. She was a grammar school girl, you see. She was very clever. And she was telling everybody, that I was an alcoholic and I was nasty and things like that, you see. She could see now that she was having an affair, and she could see her own children could see this. And her friends around her could see this. So what she did to win them over was turn them all against me. Well, she was telling them all bad things about me, you see. And she was telling them I was nasty and I was an alcoholic, and I hardly drunk at the time. I was only going out with my friends one day a week, I was working all week. And she was winning the children over because this guy now had money and he was spending it on my children, and they thought the world of him, you see. So I was losing out all ways, you see, and in the end, she even went to the extreme now of getting me out of the house to get this guy. She wanted this guy, do or die, like she did with me. She was all out to get me, you see, and now she was all out to get this guy. She wanted to get rid of me now because now she got a man with a lot of money, and she got a big posh house now in Amford. And it is really big posh house. And she got all the kids and they're all around her now because she is well off. Anyway, so what she did then, she went to the extremes then of getting me out. She took me to court in Carmarthen. I had someone. She left me, went to live with the mother, with the children. This came as a bit of a shock when I came home from work. She'd gone. And next thing, in a few days, I had somebody to turn up in court. And I thought, right, I'll go to court, no problem. But little did I realize that she was there with a barrister. She said, unbelievable. No, I turned up. I was laid back, I thought, I haven't done anything wrong. There's no need for me to have a solicitor. I turned up without a solicitor. And she had a barrister. And there he was telling the judge that I was hitting her, that she was terrified of me. And the judge turned around and said, you got to get out. You got to get out. I was thrown out of my own house that I'd lived in and married for 11 years. 11 years working, always giving her money, never hitting her, never hitting the children, wanting her to be happy, losing everything after 11 years. Look at the extreme now. She was going over money. And she had this guy. This guy moved in. He was sleeping in my bed. And I was homeless now, living with my brother and sister-in-law. And I couldn't believe it. It was a shock. And my kids thought the world of this guy. And as my kids got older, especially my older daughter, Melanie, by the time she became a teenager, she didn't want to know me. My oldest boy was the same. Fred was the youngest daughter with my first marriage. She stuck with me. And even at time, because I landed up now, I had no money. And I landed up minor strike, everything, no money. And when I went back to work, she was taking maintenance. I had to pay her maintenance for the kids. And, I was losing the house, losing her, and losing my kids, except for my youngest daughter. To this day, has stayed loyal with me. And I'll never forget my eldest daughter, going back about 30 years ago, when she phoned me up, wanted money. Because what happened then, I got married the second time. I'd done the same mistake again. I had good redundancy money. I bought a council house, everything, and then I had no money. I was on the dole, and then she kicks me out. So I'd done the same mistake again. Married another woman who was a gold digger, and I lost everything again. And I was out of work, on the dole, and my eldest daughter was phoning me up, wanting money, not coming down to see me, and shouting on the phone to me, wanting me to put the phone down on her. She wanted me, but I didn't do that. I kept cool, you see. And sadly, in the end, it was a bitter lesson for me to learn. Now, of course, I've picked myself up a lot since then. I've got money now, and I'm spoiling my youngest daughter. Even managed to help her buy the house, spent a few thousand on that, and a boy, my grandson. I spent a fortune on him. But my other children now, over the years, haven't bothered with me because of money, even though I got money now. They've landed up on their feet. They've got money. They're doing well. My first wife and second wife are doing well. They've got all the children, all the grandchildren around them because they've got the money. They've got posh cars, posh place, posh bungalow, posh house, and I'm living in a council old age bungalow. Even though I've got money, but it's a bitter lesson I've learned about money. How people can turn against you just because you didn't have money at the time, and why and how they go for somebody who has got money. Now, when I was going out to the first wife, I could never see that this was the case, but obviously she could. And I've met a lot of women since who are gold diggers. You see, when I took up internet dating, I put down that I was on the dole. I couldn't get a single date the first few weeks. So what I did then, I put down I won the lottery and I had a boat in Tenby and I had a big house, holiday home in Tenby. The next day I got up, I had 30 women wanted to meet me that week. All gold diggers. A lot of this, mind you, there's men as well who are gold diggers. You better believe it. Not only women, there's men as well. Well, I, on the other hand, I've met women living in mansions, and got their own house and land and all that. And my mobile's gone blurred again. And I just didn't like them. So, I've never married for money, even though I could have. I've just loved my single life ever since I split up with my second wife. And to me, my health is more important. Even though if you've got money, it'll help a lot. There's no doubt about that. So this is a video I've done this time about money talks. And you better believe it, it does talk. Okay.